Hey guys, this is Gabaa. I hope you guys are doing good. Today I'm going to show you a very easy yet effective trick that I've been using for many years now. You can literally hear this on most of my tracks, and this is one of my go-to trick when it comes to fattening up the bass and making it huge. So here I have a kick and bass bounce to audio. This has been gone through several processes like compression, saturation, EQ, and so on. So let's listen to this first, and then we proceed further on what to do with this. Okay. So here it is. Okay. So that was the kick and bass. So what we are going to do now is something called as parallel compression. I'm sure you guys would have heard this before, or maybe you would also know how the process of achieving a parallel compression is. But let me show you my way, which I've been using. So all we have to do is create a written track. Okay, and I'm going to call this as kick and bass parallel. So this is also called as New York compression. Basically what happens is you take a signal, you make a copy of it, you add a lot of compression, also you could add saturation, distortion, and there's a lot of things that you could do with parallel processing. But when it comes to parallel compression, it's usually you compress the audio to the maximum. That's you squash the audio and you mix it with the original or the audio that you've been feeding it into. All right, so in this case it's going to be our kick and bass group. So before we proceed, I like to add an EQ before we process or before we compress the duplicate audio signal. That's because I don't want to have excess mid-range. Now what happens is when you compress an audio, you're bringing up all especially when you compress with a full single band compression, so you're bringing up all the harmonics or the complete band. So in this case, especially in Psytrance, we want the kick and bass to be very edgy. That means you don't want much of midsection. You just want the highs and the lows. So in this case, so to counter this, what I do, I try to cut the mids so that we have space for atmospheres, leads, and so on. All right, so this goes in the slot number C, the written channel number C, or the letter C, I'm sorry. So we increase the send from here to the maximum. We want the complete signal going into our parallel bus. And over here, let's solo this. Okay, so now I'm going to find the right spot. I will try to avoid the lows because we don't want to get into any phase problems. We don't want to change the phase relationship of this kick and bass in the parallel bus. So I'm just going to listen to it, and once I feel okay, this is a part where I need to get rid of, I'll just stop and we'll proceed with the processing. right around here is a good spot. Just make sure, but this could change with your track because my bass is running on D sharp, and the harmonics change. So you have to listen. There is I don't follow any chart for this because it's mostly my ear and how it sounds, and if something is too much or if something is too less. So I think this is a good spot. Now after this we are going to add a compressor. So you can add Ableton compressor, or you can add any kind of compressor. For this, I would like to use FabFilter Pro C. Okay, all right. So in FabFilter Pro C, you have the option called mastering. Okay, I would like to use this particular option for this kind of processing because we want it to be as transparent as possible. We don't want the copy of the kick and bass to pump or to have some kind of groove. We wanted to have a excess compression. So I'm going to select mastering over here, and the most important part when you're parallelly processing or when you're parallelly compressing, you need to have the look ahead on. Now the reason is we want to tame all the transients. But if the look ahead is not on, your compressor has the minimum value of minus like 0.5 milliseconds. So you are going to hear the first transient of your kick, even though if your attack is all the way down. So what we're going to do, we are increasing the look ahead. So what this does is it will make sure all your transients are tamed. So it doesn't allow any click or pops or anything to pass through the compressor. Everything will be squashed. All right, so I'm going to work with the compressor. I'm not going to talk now because I need to find the right spot. So just follow me. All right. So I hope you noticed what happens when I turn off the look ahead. So look ahead is very important. You also have the look ahead option in Ableton Compressor. So once you open Ableton Compressor, you have to click this option. Here you will have this look. So it's the same thing. You have 10 milliseconds in Ableton, but in Pro C you have 20 milliseconds. Yes, 20 milliseconds. For some reason, I like to use Pro C for this kind of processing. For my other processing, let's say if I want to add some color, so there are many analog analog kinds of compressors and EQs that I use. But for this, it's just going to be Pro C2. All right, looks like the signal is completely compressed. It's over compressed. It's squashed. If you look at the meter over here, so we have around minus 20 dB of gain reduction. So we could start with that. The next thing is I want to fine tune my EQ, my how narrow my band is, just to make sure I'm not taking out too much or too less. All right, this looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this with my original kick and bass. So I'm going to bring this all the way down. As I play, I'm going to mix this, and I'm also going to listen how it will sound with the rest of the sounds. That is my drums, and I have some some squelches and some leads and some atmosphere. So let's see how it all sits together, how the kick bass sits with the mix. All right, let's go. right, that looks around that around 14 minus 14 should be a good uh, good figure. So let's check with and without, and also just make sure this not to overdo this, because most of the times you might feel that okay, it's sounding good and you might try to push it. uh, if you do, just make sure your maximum peak level is at your desired. Maybe you work with -6 or -10 or -12, doesn't matter. So you shouldn't be adding more than, more than 2 or 3 dB of your parallel processing. So let's find out how much dB are we adding right now. Okay, so I think around 2 dB, which is good. Now if you notice, it's not only the volume which is being increased, it's also adding an extra dimension to your kick and bass, which makes you perceive it as full, or fat, or whatever you want to call it. So let's listen to this with the rest of the sounds, and let's try A/B it and understand if it makes some difference. All right, so uh, you can hear the difference for sure. And like I said, it's not only the volume which is increasing, it's also adding another dimension for your kick and bass. I use it all the time. It really brings out. I mean, it sounds really great on big systems whenever I play in any gigs I play. So I have been using this, like I said, from a very long time, and I hope this helps you guys. Yeah, so let me know in the comments or something if this really helped you. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.